Thank you very much.
Hey, Rocco,
Okay,
can I
well,
ask you a question real quick?
yeah, definitely.
The Grue meaning like Grue from Star Wars Grue or
No, it's just like it stands for gruesome because I'm like a big horror fan, and the show started out as a horror show, and then it
ah,
eventually became what it is now. Like I interview everyone now; it's not just horror anymore.
that's
But yeah,
awesome.
that's our little guy. That's Gru, and
I got you. Now, do you know this? Do you know the podcast Monster Party?
no, no.
Check it out. It's buddies of mine. They've been running it for over a decade. I think you'll like it a lot. It's all about
Oh, really?
monster kids and loving genre films and stuff like that.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monster Party. It's on all the streaming services.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check it out. Thank you.
Awesome. You bet. You bet. All right.
Well,
Show is yours. Yep.
it's all right. The first thing I want to start out asking you is I see you do a little bit of everything. Like you write, you direct, you produce, and you're also a professor too. So which one came first for you? Was it the professor or was it the films?
Films. I went to Cal Arts for film school, and so I've been a filmmaker my career. And then in 2013, Arizona State University brought me out to teach documentary filmmaking to students from the schools of journalism and sustainability. Yep.
Oh wow. Okay. And
So
what do you love most about like being behind the lens? Like, did you ever have that bug to act?
I never had the bug to act, and quite frankly, I never had the bug to be in front of the camera. Um, and so when I made Carbonation, I did the rough narration track, and I just thought I shouldn't be the guy. So we got Bill Curtis to be the guy. And some of my funders were kind of bummed. They thought they liked my voice, and they were like, "Man, Peter, you should have done it." And I just didn't want anything I was doing to get in the way of the messaging of solutions to climate change. And
Hmm.
then I made a bunch of short films about adaptive grazing, which is the world I'm in now. And my editor kept saying, I wish you were in the movie. You're asking these questions. I have to edit your question out because you're not in it. I wish you were in it. So the 10th one of the 10 short films, I experimented and got another camera person, a former student of mine named Chris Smith. And I said, hey, I'm going to be in it. And so it
Nice.
was weird. It was weird not to hold the camera. I felt like I was just wasting my time. But I could engage with the farmers in a different way by being on camera, and I could
Yeah.
interrupt them, which when I'm off camera, I can't interrupt them because I'm going to be out of it anyway. And so we thought, I think that's working. So in Roots So Deep, I'm in the show, and that was a long evolution. And folks who see it will tell me whether they like it or not. I'm kind of the host in a way
Well,
to
yeah,
to meeting
exactly.
to meeting the farmers and meeting the scientists. So I think it's working, but it took a long time. I still shoot. I still shoot a lot. Yeah.
Okay. And your your new film, Roots So Deep, it's a four-part show from what I saw. And what inspired you to want to make it?
Well, it's all about finding out if a type of farming, regenerative grazing, could be good for the farmer, good for the land, and good for the planet. And so this whole project started out with as a science project. We put together a large team of scientists to do the measurement to find out if this kind of grazing that not too many people are doing, adaptive grazing, would actually answer those questions in the positive, right? And and so that's what the inspiration for this project was. Making a documentary about it was sort of second tier of importance, the research being the first tier of
Mhm.
importance. But then the documentary just sort of came to life, and it's got a life of its own. But the science is sort of the driver. So finding out, can farmers get themselves out of debt? Can they make
Yeah.
their land more productive and make it more conducive for wildlife to live on it? And could it be a climate change solution? Could it be a greenhouse gas solving place? And so that's why we started doing it. Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, okay. And like you were you were saying like you got both both sides in the film. Like you got the people on the farm and scientists too.
Yeah.
And do you feel that they have the same views, or do you think it's like different views that the scientists have compared to the farmers?
Well, I think there's a lot of nuance, a lot of choices, a lot of differences. I think that amongst our science team, there's a whole political spectrum from left to right and in the middle. And amongst our farmers, there's a whole political spectrum left to right and in the middle. But what was so enjoyable about this whole project is that when you're talking about soil health, um, people are in agreement. Like nature is something people trust,
Yeah.
and soil health is something that makes sense. And so it's not about politics at that point, although political decisions can make it harder or easier for farmers to get down to soil health and get their farms healthier. There's definitely choices that can be made. But really, when it came down to it, if we're counting bugs and seeing if the land is healthy and counting birds and seeing how much carbon's in the soil, everyone's getting along pretty darn well.
Okay, see,
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly.
and and for anyone who isn't too familiar with like farm life and stuff, can because like I know I didn't know nothing about it until I watched some some of the show. Like
Yeah.
for anyone going in like me that doesn't know a lot about farm life and stuff,
Yep.
can you tell like the people like what grazing means, like what grazing the cattle means,
Yeah.
and like climate change with the soil and stuff?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Um, so when you've
Okay.
got in America right now, we have about 350, 360 million people, and about 1 million Americans are farmers. So
Wow.
it's a tiny amount, right? And so we've all been sort of pushed back from being connected to the farmer. Most of us don't know
Mm.
farmers. Most of us don't
Well, yeah,
step on farms, yet we eat
yeah,
every day,
exactly.
right? So we are connected to the farmer. And so this isolation of the farmer is a big deal. And so we hope with our movie that we'll be able to show all the rest of the country, hey, go meet your farmer, you know, and go meet the folks who are creating the food for you, and buy food directly from the farmer. Don't buy it 3 or 4 steps away from your farmer. Go to the farm, buy it there. Um, when animals are grazing, it's literally, are they eating grass, right? When the cows are out there grazing, they're eating grass. And it's usually like a mama cow with her baby, and they're out there, and there's a herd of mama cows with their babies, and they're all munching away. And if you just let animals roam throughout the whole farm, they'll overgraze the stuff they like, and they won't even touch the stuff they don't like. So then that takes over, and it's out of balance. It's out of balance. But when the farmers keep the animals tight in a herd and move them in small areas at a time, they're kind of replicating the way the bison moved across the Great Plains before Europeans got here. And by doing that, the animals only eat half of the forage if given the choice. If you just leave them out there to fend for themselves, they'll eat everything down to just the nub. And so when you have your grass really short, the roots are really short below the ground, and the soil's exposed. And on a hot summer day, that soil might be 140 degrees.
Oh
And
my
the
God.
microbes in the soil die. And the microbes in the soil are the driver. They're the thing that's just making it all work. And so in these farms, they graze half, they stomp the rest down to keep the soil cool, and they go off to another part, and they keep going to different parts where most of the farm then gets to rest and regrow. And when the plants are tall, the roots are deep, and that's where the plants are drawing down carbon from the atmosphere. They burp out the oxygen for us to breathe. You've heard of CO2. So
Oh yeah, of course.
C is carbon, O2 is oxygen. The plant burps out the oxygen and takes the carbon down into the roots and they feed the microbes. And the more
Oh,
different kind of plants you have growing, so you just don't want a field of just one plant. When you see a field of just corn, that's not nature, right? That's man fighting nature. On these farms, they have
yeah.
all sorts of different plants growing, which then creates a situation where you have all sorts of different microbes, right? And
Ah,
those microbes are the engine. They're just pumping away, bringing nutrients up into the plant, which then the plant is full of nutrients. The animal eats the plant. The animal then is very full of nutrients. And then we eat the animal, we're full of nutrients. And it's tracked. It's just kind of an amazing system. But when you have a lot of plants, you have a lot of bugs. When you have a lot of
yeah.
different kinds of bugs, you got a lot of different kinds of birds. So you're creating a wildlife sanctuary while you're producing food, while you're grazing animals. That's what these farmers have discovered. And so we as a science team came in and said, let's measure that side of the fence, the adaptive side, and the neighbor who's doing it the way everybody else is doing it. And let's see if there's a difference. Are there more microbes on one side or the other? Are there more bugs? Is there more bird life?
Yeah.
Are the animals healthier? So those are the questions. That's what we were studying. That's what we were going for. And so yeah, I wasn't raised on a farm just like you. But I'll tell you what, when you're on these farms, man, it's nice, especially the ones that are focused on soil health, the ones that are
Yeah.
really pumping nature. You feel it. You'd feel it. You would know like that. Having never been on a farm, I guarantee you'd know the difference. You'd feel something between these two systems because I
Really?
didn't grow up on a farm and I felt it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you love most about like making the film and like learning more about like the farm life?
Meeting the farmers and getting to know them was really very cool. Because it's a world that I wasn't part of, just like you were saying, you're not a part of, the rural community. Um, Learning about neighbors helping neighbors. Um, it makes sense. If a neighbor called me, I would help them, and it's just the same
Mhm.
everywhere. Um, Being out there at different times of day and different types of weather. I live in Phoenix. I'm in a city, right? So being out in nature, being out on those farms, being in the woods on those farms, seeing all the wildlife, seeing the snakes that scare the daylights out of me, but there's something to it, right? Um, that's what I really liked. I liked the fried chicken at the gas station in Woodville, Mississippi. I'm telling you, man, you get some really good food out in where you don't expect it.
Right?
Um,
Yeah.
and then by one of our farms was in Woodville, Mississippi, which is above Baton Rouge, which is near New Orleans. So got to go to New Orleans and eat all that good food. I'm a big
Nice.
fan of beignets.
Nice.
Um, and so all the food along the way I really liked. The farmers, getting to know my science team really well, getting to work with my crew. All those things were really enjoyable. And when you film, there's a joy when you've gotten a good day. When you get back, you're tired, but you've had a good hard day's work. And I drank a lot of iced tea on this job as well. A lot.
Now, was it the sweet tea or like the homemade iced tea? Like what kind,
So
which version of the iced tea?
So I go pretty hardcore. So I made my iced tea every morning in the hotel, and then I had a cooler, and so I make it just a little sweet. It's unsweet tea with just a little bit of sweet. The full sweet tea, it tastes great, but it's really sweet. So I don't want to drink that all day long. I
Well,
like it, but I just
yeah.
give it a little edge of sweet, and then a good robust brewed, freshly brewed iced tea. It's just different. If you brew it the night before, you save time in the morning, right? Because you're getting up early and all that stuff, but
Well, yeah,
not
exactly.
as good. Got to brew it the day you're drinking it.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I let it
And
steep a little longer. They say 3 minutes on the package. I go 10 for the iced tea. It tastes better.
makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense. I like that.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, but like when you were talking about bison and stuff, like that's the meat that I eat. Like I love bison meat.
There you go.
I don't know how fresh the bison meat is that I'm eating because I buy it at the supermarket, the Acme.
Well, you can buy bison meat directly from bison producers. You could look it up and get it fresher.
Mhm.
You might spend a little bit more, but if it's going to be more nutrient dense and fresher, it's actually better for your health. All the other
Exactly.
healthcare costs could be cheaper. So
Yeah.
cheap food has a cost,
Oh no,
right?
yeah, absolutely,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
And the last thing I will ask you, I know, like, I know you're on a press day and you're pressed for time and all that, but the last question I'll ask you
I'm
is,
happy to be here. I'll just tell you that.
thank you, thank
Sure,
you.
man. You bet, Rocco.
Where could fans like watch the film
Yep.
and follow the film and follow you at?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we our website is rootssodeep.org. And on May 28th in the US and Canada, it'll be up for streaming. So you just go to our website, hit the button to stream it, punch in your credit card, boom. You'll have multi views for a month. You won't just get 48 hours like all the other streamers. You can watch it as much as you want over that whole month. And then our social media is at Carbon Cowboys. So that's our handle. So Carbon Cowboys is our handle on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And we're on X, but we don't spend a lot of time doing that right now. But because we like to post videos that are ready to go. So yeah, rootssodeep.org. That's us. And we're releasing it grassroots style. We're doing it ourselves.
Awesome, buddy. Well, it was really good meeting you. Thanks for coming on and talking about the film. And I even learned a lot about like roots and stuff. So
Yeah,
so
man.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rocco. And don't forget Monster Party because I know you'll dig it.
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Have a
man.
good one, man.
Thank you, Rocco. Nice to meet you.
Same.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Rocco.
Thank you. Thanks for